Looks like everyone's on and connected to audio. So welcome to this week's webinar. The topic, as you probably saw, is be a guide, not a guard. We thought we were very clever coming up with that. So we're going to TM that and find some way to keep using it. But anyway, so the webinar series is something we do every week. Obviously, there's holidays and such that pops in every now and again. Typically, it is an hour earlier. We had a conflict this week. But the idea is that every week you can just register and there'll be a new topic. So normally we do 1 week is a specific topic like this one where we're talking about the theme. And then the second week, every other week would then be just kind of a straight up demo. And the idea is it's a very low commitment, 15-minute session for you to have a look and see what Shep's all about. Maybe learn something, invite someone on your team who maybe hasn't seen what we do, and just kind of hop in and out. So it's pretty quick and easy. We record all of these as well. And at that registration link, you can see all of the prior ones too. So let's jump in, because we do try to keep these at 15 minutes. So, the topic, as I said, is be a guide, not a guard. And the reason is that, people typically don't like to be told what to do. So there's natural resistance to change. People have been doing things one way for X amount of time, and change management can be quite difficult. So being told what to do without a good reason, people can push back on that. Another thing is personal habits. So, there's so much bleed over between your personal and your work life these days, especially now that you're working from home due to COVID. You're using probably the same device to shop for a vacation as you are to shop for a business trip. And so it can be very easy to pick up these habits, being used to getting, endless content from any site you want, all that sort of stuff, and then assuming that the same process should be true for business travel. So that's something that works against managed travel programs in some ways. And then there's just this sort of unawareness. People don't know necessarily what they're meant to do or how they're meant to do it. And you can write as many emails or blog posts or intranet site, but if people don't know about that or remember it or have an easy way to access that information, it doesn't really matter. That becomes a huge problem. I've got some stats around this. So in order to change, to improve your change initiatives, you really need to sort of engage people in a different way. And this was a stat from the Harvard Business Review that 60 to 70% of all change initiatives fail, which is pretty bad. And there's so much change going on, especially in travel programs, due to what's been going on over the last year or so, that you really want to beat those numbers. You don't want all of your new procedures to be ignored because of this. You need to be able to teach new habits. And it's difficult because people are having to make so many decisions. There was another study that said that adults make 35,000 remotely conscious decisions every day. And so the decision to shop between here or there, to pick this versus that, you have to making those decisions really easy. People fatigue. There's sort of this unconscious fatigue that sets in over time. So by the time you're booking a trip at 4:00, you've already had to pick what socks you're going to wear. Are you going to work in your tracksuit pants? Are you going to get dressed for the day? What you're going to do, which emails you're going to respond to, which tasks you're going to overtake. So you get a bit of decision fatigue. So you need to make those decisions really easy to make with the right information. And then you really need to engage your employees. And there's another stat that 85% of employees are not fully engaged at work. And you can imagine that giving someone a 50-page legal doc full of CYA terms and clauses, telling them what to do and how to do it, is not super engaging. People sort of zone out. I know I do a lot of legal documentation, and it's not fun. It takes a long time, takes a lot of focus. And so you need to find ways to better engage your team around policies, rules, procedures, changes, and such. And so every one of these sessions, we come up with a new framework, and we try to do a alliteration, And so we're kind of talking about the carrot versus the stick here is what this is named after. So I'm going to switch between this and my iPad. So this is just going to take me a second. So this is the caret quadrant. And as in all good quadrants, we've got a box with 4 sections. And as you know, with these things, you always want to be in the top right. So on the top, we're going to have a benefits. Excuse my handwriting. And on the opposite of benefits, the opposite side is punishment. On the far right, we're going to have education. And on the left, enforcement. So if you think about how a typical travel policy, new set of rules, new rollout of procedures, you usually are sort of sitting in the unfortunate position of having to be in the bottom left corner, where there's a lot of enforcement, it's a lot of rules. You should do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And that's kind of where we we put the stick. So that's sort of where most of the time your procedures and everything sit. They sit right there in that bottom left corner. And ideally, you want to be graduating the way you communicate, the way you enforce things up into that top right quadrant, where, of course, you have the caret. So your ideal is to move from being focused on enforcing and punishing rules and policies, moving up where you can focus on benefits, why you should do something, why the employee should make a change to their behavior, what are the benefits to them, and really educating them on that. So that's the caret quadrant, and that's how that works. So now I'm going to switch back to my computer and show you how you can put that into action and how the Shep browser extension actually would help you with this sort of way of thinking. So now, with that in mind, focusing on benefits and education, I'm going to show you how that can be, how Shep can be used to achieve that. So, for example, when we look at the topic of leakage, an employee might say they want to book a flight on Orbitz instead of, on your OBT. So you can actually have a message that says, hey, should you be here, you need to be booking through Concur. As you can see, the tool is very customizable, so you can have all sorts of different modals. You can bring some humor into it. You can, sort of reflect your tone of your company. And then that button would redirect them to the booking tool. This one would open Zeno, as I showed you, that one was Concur. So then I'll show you how we can educate now. So someone goes to AA because they assume in order to get their points and their loyalty, they need to be booking directly through the airline. They don't think they can get that through your booking tool. So, for example, you could educate them and say, did you know you can still get your points if you book your flight through Concur? Click here, and it actually redirects you into that exact section of Concur where the traveler programs can be added. And just to sort of tie the last webinar to this one, the last one was on how to educate people with video. So we showed how to create these sort of training videos that would walk someone through, and that's me being recorded, showing you how to add your loyalty programs to Concur. So again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to be here, follow the rules or else. I'm telling you that there's a benefit. There's a reason you want to book this where you should. Another example would be, let's say someone leaks from the program, goes to Expedia, and they say they want to book a flight to Hong Kong. So what you can actually do is you can educate them and say, hey, did you know we've got unused credits? Like, you shouldn't be booking here. You need to book in and use the unused credits. And then you can target specific messages to locations. So they type in Hong Kong, and you can say, hey, your teammates love the W Hotel in Hong Kong. Here's what Keith in accounting said, and put information about that. So they're not just, and then you take them to your OBT. So now you're redirecting them, you're educating them where to stay, where to book. So it's really guiding them to the right decision and not making them have to make all these hard choices. I mean, to pick between things, now they see the clear benefit, especially if you include things like this includes free breakfast and late checkout or something. There's a clear benefit, and it's educational as opposed to being punitive and enforcing. So yeah, as you've seen, what Shep is a browser extension that allows you to bring your policy to life across the web by popping up targeted messages based on what site the employee is on, what they're doing. We actually do have a discount right now, sort of a recovery discount that is 35% off if you sign up for a pilot or a full subscription by the end of the quarter. And you can just schedule a demo with me at sheptravel.com. We also have a couple of ebooks that we've put out recently. So one is 5 Steps to Return to Travel Sooner and Safer. And that's kind of high level, what you need to think about as far as duty of care, approval processes and such. And then guided buying is how to then put that into action using our tool to guide the employee step by step to make in compliant, safe travel bookings. So yeah, we're 1 minute to go. Thank you for watching. As I said, we do have weekly webinars. The next one is next week, and that'll just be a general demo. But I do want to make sure I leave this up and see if there's any FAQs. Not FAQs, any Qs, any questions. So, one of the regular questions we do get is around implementation. How does this work? And so essentially, we work with your IT team to push the extension out to employee computers. And so for the employee, they show up the next day and the browser extension is installed and it opens a new tab and just asks them to sign in, tells them, this is a new tool we're using to educate and provide you relevant safety and travel information. And then we integrate it into your single sign-on service. So it's a one-click sign-on for them and allows them to sort of then get the information as they take an action. And everything I showed you today actually works across more than 2,000 travel sites. So it's a pretty universal tool that can educate people, guide them. We integrate with duty of care providers, so we can actually bring in the COVID restrictions, border requirements, safety warnings as they type in the destination. As you saw me type in, Hong Kong. At the same time, we could bring in duty of care and safety information there. Looks like that's it. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope to see you at one of our future ones. And we'll also follow up once this video is up and posted. We'll send an email to you so you've got access to this that you can share with your team or rewatch if it was you want to revisit that carrot quadrant. Thank you, everyone. Have a good long weekend.